My name is Samra Binti Mohd Ismail. I'm 17 years old. I'm currently studying in SMT Bandar, Penawar, Johor. Lately, I've been enjoying reading books. One of my favorite books of all time is the one I showed you earlier, When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. The book was written by Paul Kalanithi about himself. The interesting part is, the book was written after Paul Kalanithi was diagnosed with lung cancer, stage 4. He wrote the book about his childhood, teenage life, his career life, and his journey to death. In the beginning of the book, he talked about how he at first had no intention to become a neurosurgeon, but ended up being one of the best neurosurgeons in the country. Now, Paul Kalanithi was half Indian, half American. During his childhood, he wanted to become a writer because he thought that literature brings humans as close as they can be to expressing life and death. However, that changed when he realized that no matter how deep we go into this literature, our brain and our heart are always tied with physical laws. And everything is just the mechanism of the brain. Thus, he decided to become a neurosurgeon. However, when he was diagnosed with lung cancer himself, nothing seemed familiar. Instead of being the doctor, he was the patient. Instead of examining and making diagnosis, he was laying in bed waiting for the doctors. He was very sad. He went through what all patients do, especially cancer patients. He was depressed, he was shocked, he was giving up on life. However, the doctor told him that his tumor, even though it's stage 4, isn't that aggressive. So he decided to continue becoming a neurosurgeon as long as he can be. He continued becoming a neurosurgeon for almost a year. But before that, he wanted to have a child. Now, Paul Kalanithi's original plan was to become a neurosurgeon and then a professor after he finishes his residency, and then becoming a neuron scientist, and then a writer, and then having children. But now that he don't even know if he can live for the next year, the next month, the next day, or maybe even the next second. So he thought that he wants children, but he had to do it using in vitro technology because of the medicine he took. He had a beautiful daughter a year later, named Katie. Katie was a few months old. At that time, Paul Kalanithi's tumor was actually very decreasing in size. He was almost healthy, though he had back pain. But then, in few days, he was laying in bed using life support. This is nothing new because we know that cancer can be very small in size today, but then very aggressive the next day. Paul Kalanithi decided to face death eye to eye. He refused to use life support, which means he might die in the next few days. But he thought that that's much better than using life support but doing nothing for years. Paul Kalanithi died in 2015 with Katie in his arms and Lucy by his side. The book also taught me that though we always have our own plans and work hard for it, God has better plans. And we need to feel grateful for what God has planned for us and start appreciating them. Happiness isn't a goal, it's a journey. And I feel happy to spend my quality time and to appreciate my life with my loved ones, my family, and my friends. That's all from me. And I hope you enjoy this book as much as I did. If you haven't read the book, I highly recommend you to do.